By the time this video comes out, it would be 50 years since Queen released their second album. Of course, Queen 2 is one of my favorite Queen albums, and to kind of celebrate, I thought it would be fun to go ahead and do a whole showcase of my entire Queen collection. And the items that I'll be showing are 7 records and a lot of CDs. Let's begin. First off, we have Queen 1 from 1973. This is Queen at the rawest, and I love it for it. And I do have it on vinyl as well, and I believe it's a original US pressing. Next up is Queen 2, the album in question that's turning 50 today. This is Queen at their most proggiest, and I love it for it. Again, it's not technically a progressive rock album, but it definitely has elements of it, and there's some great deep cuts on here, and the artwork is just legendary, and so it's always been one of my favorites. And so my CD copy is also a 2011 remaster, and my vinyl copy is also from 2011. I would like to get an original pressing at some point, so we'll see what happens there. Next up is Sheer Heart Attack, another album from 1974, so it's going to celebrate its 50th anniversary pretty soon. For some reason, of all the 70s Queen albums, this is the one I played least. I have no idea why. I still really enjoy it. There's a ton of variety on here, but again, it's just something I don't really grab for too often. But like I said, still a very good album. Of course, it has Killer Queen on it, so how can you not like it? Once again, my CD is a 2011 remaster, but my record is an original US pressing, so I'm happy to find that. And now we've come to the big one. We have A Night at the Opera from 1975. This is my personal favorite Queen album. I know it's a generic choice, but I don't care, to each their own. I just love the variety on here. We have pop, rock, hard rock, progressive rock. It's all over the map, and I absolutely adore it for it. It's a landmark album in my opinion, so I had to get this. This is yet another 2011 remaster, but what's interesting about this is that it also comes with a bonus EP with a second disc with some other stuff in there as well, which is kind of interesting. And my record that I own is a original US pressing, so awesome to have it. Now we have A Day at the Races from 1976, a very strong album to follow up the last one in my opinion. There's some terrific songs like Tie Your Mother Down, The Millionaire Waltz, Somebody to Love, Drowse, and so much more. Again, this is another one of my personal favorites. And say it with me now, this is a 2011 remaster. And my record's actually kind of interesting because it's actually a club edition, I believe. And I've heard club editions are kind of mixed in terms of sound quality, but to me it sounds fine, so I'm not complaining too much. Now we have... Sorry, I couldn't resist. But we have News of the World from 1977 next, and another very good album. Right off the bat, it starts you with We Will Rock You and We Are the Champions. But there's also some great deep cuts like Sheer Heart Attack, All Dead, Spread Your Wings, It's Late, and many more. And funny enough, this is not a 2011 remaster. This is actually a 1991 edition. And it does come with a bonus song. It has a We Will Rock You remix by Rick Rubin for some reason. And no, it does not sound good. I would not recommend it, but a little funny tidbit there. And my record that I have is a original US pressing, so awesome to know. And now we get to the last album of the 1970s. We have Jazz from 1978, a very underrated album in my opinion. There's some terrific songs. You have big hits like Don't Stop Me Now, Bat Bottom Girls, and Bicycle Race, but there's some great deep cuts like Jealousy, If You Can't Beat Them, In Only 7 Days, Dead on Time, and so much more. This CD is another 1991 remaster, and it does come with remixes. Again, not really worth checking out. And my record is an original US pressing. And from here on out, that's all the records I have. All I have are CDs from this point onward. Kicking off the 1980s, we have The Game. A very good album, I think. I still stand that it's still one of their worst album covers because I think it's lazy, but the music inside is still very good. You have big hits like Another One Bites the Dust, Crazy Little Thing Called Love, even Save Me and Play the Games are pretty well known. And there's some good deep cuts like Dragon Attack and Sail Away Sweet Sister. I enjoy this album, and this is yet another 1991 edition of the CD. And now we have the Flash Gordon soundtrack. This is a 1991 edition of the CD. Yeah, that's all I got. I don't have much else to say about this. And now we get to the controversial Hot Space. I know there are people who really don't like this album. Me, I like it. I don't love it, but I like it. I do think it gets way too much hate. I don't think it's as bad as what people say it is. And there's some good songs in here. Of course, you have Under Pressure, which is the big hit on here. But I also really enjoy Dancer, Staying Power, Life is Real, Las Palabras de Amor, and I really enjoy Backchat. I feel like that song gets too much hate. I love Backchat. And even Body Language, I'll say, is not too bad either. It's not one of their strongest by no stretch, but I enjoy it for what it is. This is another 1991 remaster. And now we move on to The Works. I think of all the 80s albums, I think this is probably my favorite. There's some good blend of rock and synth pop and new wave, and I think it really works for them. Of course, you have Radio Gaga, I Want to Break Free, It's a Hard Life, Is This the World We Created? A very strong album, and here is yet another 1991 CD remaster. Here we have 1986's A Kind of Magic, a weird bizarro of a studio album and a soundtrack album because you have songs from the Highlander film and you have some standalone songs as well. But I also really enjoy it as well. I think there's some good songs. I really enjoy a lot of the songs from the Highlander film, like Princes of the Universe, A Kind of Magic, Who Wants to Live Forever, and I really like the ballad 1 Year of Love. I think that's a great ballad. As you know, I'm a sucker for ballads. And the standalone songs are pretty good as well. You have One Vision. I think it's a pretty strong album. Not one of their absolute best, but I enjoy it for what it is. And here we have another 1991 remaster. And now we have The Miracle. I know people don't like the album cover. I mean, it's not one of their best, but at least it's something. Much better than the game. But anyhow, again, not one of their strongest albums, I think. But again, there's some great standout songs. I love I Want It All, one of my favorite Queen songs. I really enjoy The Invisible Man, Rain Must Fall, Was It All Worth It, Breakthrough. All some very strong songs. And again, this one has some bonus stuff, has some singles that weren't on the album. You have Hang On In There. But yeah, pretty strong album, not much to say. Once again, 1991 remaster. And now we get to Innuendo, the last album to be released during Freddie Mercury's lifetime. And this album I hold very personal to me. I really love this album. It's probably in my top 5. I mean, probably top 5, maybe even top 3 even. And again, so many great songs like the title track, I Can't Live With You, These Are the Days of Our Lives, and Delilah. If you're a cat person, you know, but it also has my favorite Queen song of all time, The Show Must Go On, which is such a fantastic song and probably Freddie Mercury's great vocal performances, I think. So I love this album, and I'm pretty sure this CD came out right when the album came out. And of course, I have the posthumous album Made in Heaven from 1995. A lot of the songs were recorded just before Freddie passed away, and some of the stuff was from Freddie's solo career. And you know, there are people who don't like this album. For me, for what it is, I think it's fine. The only real drawback to this album is the fact it ends on a 20-minute ambient piece, which is just straight up filler in my opinion. I don't really know why it was needed, but you know, it is what it is. And again, not their best, but it's not terrible. Well, we're done with the studio albums, but we're not done yet. Here are some live albums. First off, we have Queen Live at the Rainbow 1974. What's cool about this is that there's 2 discs, and each disc has a separate tour from 1974. So disc 1 has the Queen 2 tour, and disc 2 has the Sheer Heart Attack tour. And both have separate set lists, which is pretty cool. And again, Queen is still in their raw phase. And yeah, it's a really good live album. I would recommend it. Now we have A Night at the Odeon. This was recorded in 1975 but was released in 2015 to celebrate the 40th anniversary of Bohemian Rhapsody. And the reason they chose this is because this was the earliest, I don't think this is the very first time that they did, but it has one of the earliest recordings of them performing Bohemian Rhapsody live, which is pretty cool. I do enjoy this release. Again, a lot of great songs. They have a good blend from the early stuff and all the way up to A Night at the Opera. I think it's another really good live album to check out. When it comes to Queen live albums, of course you gotta have Live Killers. This was their first official live album, and there's a lot of variety on here. Some great selections here and a good mixture of all the albums that were released prior to this. I believe they were touring jazz at the time, but it's a terrific live album and definitely a must own. Now we have Live at Wembley from 1986. This was of course documenting the Magic's tour, the last tour with Freddie Mercury on lead vocals, and another fantastic show. You can see a lot of this stuff on YouTube, especially the video footage of it, and of course it's a fantastic show. And yeah, this is another one to go get. You really can't go wrong with Queen live. And just real quick, here's a couple compilations that I own. Here is the Platinum Collection, which has Queen's Greatest Hits volumes 1, 2, and 3 on it. And 3 separate discs, but this is definitely a good starter piece when it comes to Queen, I think. You have a good variety of the big hits, and each one has some rare goodies that I think are worth checking out. So if you are thinking of getting to Queen, then maybe you should check this one out first. Last but not least, here's a compilation of Freddie Mercury's solo career. Disc 1 has a lot of the standalone songs, and Disc 2 has a lot of remixes. So it's pretty interesting. If you're curious on Freddie Mercury's solo career, I think you should pick this up. I think you might be surprised, because I do think there are some very nice songs, like his cover of The Great Pretender, Barcelona, I Was Born to Love You, Mr. Bad Guy. Some very good songs, I think. Not like, it doesn't really compete with Queen, but for what they are, they're very nice. So I recommend checking it out at least. So there you have it. That's every Queen related item I have in my collection as of right now. And this was definitely a lot of fun to put together. It's fun to reflect, because I've said this many times, but Queen has left a very big impression on my life. So I just want to take this opportunity to kind of share my love for them once more. So hopefully you've enjoyed this as well. If you did, then please give this video a like, subscribe if you are new, and of course in the comments below let me know your favorite Queen album, which of these was a big highlight for you. I look forward to reading them, but until then, I'll see you then. Don't forget to listen to Queen 2 today, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care and goodbye for now.
Do you have hobbies?
I am not. Yeah, a lot of sex. Try and get out of that one.